Hello, good morning, guys. This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James, and this is all your latest Rangers news, guys. We are building up to the return to action. Yes, Rangers return to action on Saturday against Hearts at Ibrox. Obviously, a massive game coming off the back of this international break. Obviously, given the present circumstances in the league and the start to the season that has been made by the team. As you can see from the league table that's on the screen, it's not been the best of starts. Rangers currently sitting seventh in that very early league table, already 6 points behind Hearts and Celtic, which Russell Martin seemed to kind of try to say was a positive when he was interviewed post-game against Celtic, or that we're only 6 points off the top of the table. Well, unfortunately, Russell, that doesn't really work in Scotland like that. Yes, if you win the EPL or you win the Championship, certainly only been 6 points off the top two would be pretty much a decent achievement when you start the season. But in Scotland, that's no achievement, mate. That seriously is not an achievement. And I mean, look, we're on the same number of points, for goodness sake, as Livingston, Falkirk, Kilmarnock, Motherwell and Dundee United. Hardly something to write home about for this Rangers squad. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what Nicolas Raskin has been saying, finally breaking his silence post that Old Firm feud dropping, whatever it was called. We're also going to talk about a possible clash with Leeds over a free agent. Yes, the transfer window is closed. However, Rangers still can sign free agents. Those who are out of contract, even though the transfer window is now obviously closed, apart from in Turkey and in the Saudi Pro League, you can still move to sign players. And a former Premier League champion, a former Liverpool and Arsenal player linked with a move not only to Leeds United but also to Rangers as well, and possibly even Everton, which would be a bit of a surprise, him crossing the divide in Merseyside to play for the blue half after representing the red half. But we're going to start with the news on Nicolas Raskin. Say that the vast majority, if you asked fans to vote, and I know football's not a democracy, but if you ask football fans to vote on who they'd rather keep at Rangers and who they'd rather see on a Saturday match day or a Sunday match day, Nicolas Raskin or Russell Martin, I think that Russell Martin would be voted out by quite a considerable majority, probably about as popular as Keir Starmer is right now with a lot of people. But Raskin did talk post-game. Obviously, he's had a really good week with the Belgians. He's played, obviously, one game. He scored a goal. He played very well by all accounts. Kevin De Bruyne waxed lyrical about him post-match. I've got to say that I am slightly surprised about Nicolas Raskin, learning what I've learned over the last week or so, or the last couple of weeks about him in terms of his personality, his character, from Barry Ferguson and Neil McCann. But pleasantly surprised with how Barry and Neil McCann dealt with the situation, and clearly the way that they managed the situation, clearly the way they handled the boy worked, because as we know, the football that was played towards the end of last season by Nicolas Raskin was absolutely phenomenal. Was by the far the best player in Scotland and was one of the best players in the Europa League by an absolute street, and also impressed for his country. Now, Raskin speaking to Belgian media about his present circumstances. Now, it's thought that he turned down an opportunity to move on deadline day. Rangers are even prepared to loan him out due to the circumstances of him being told 48 hours before the Old Firm game that he wouldn't play any part in that game and wouldn't even be allowed in the stadium due to the falling out with the manager. But this is what Raskin had to say. He says, "My situation at my club is a little bit complicated. I'm going to go back, do the best I can do to sort it out and get some playing time. But it doesn't just depend on me, it depends on the coach, the club. I'll do my best because this is an important year and I absolutely want to be part of this campaign with me." Taking those first two comments there, he talks obviously about, I'm going back to do the best I can to sort it out. So it's clear that on his part, there is a desire to actually get this clear the air talks and get this sorted, and kind of be in a position to actually start to play. But he's right in one aspect when he says that it's not just down to him, it's down to obviously Russell Martin, it's down to Rangers, whether there is an ability there for the manager to kind of forgive and forget and move on. I think Russell Martin has got to kind of in a way, change his managerial persona. To me, he comes across as a very arrogant man. He comes across as a man who, it's my or that way or the highway, and you toe the line, and you don't answer me. Very schoolmastery kind of thing. Whereas, as we saw from the way that Barry and Neil talk, that's not how you get the best out of Nicolas Raskin. Now, look, I get the whole, players should toe the line, yada, yada, yada. But we know, the best managers in the world, the top managers in the world, they know that different players require different types of handling. And, some players will speak their mind, some players will be very hot-headed, and you need to deal with them in a different way to you deal with those who just toe the line, who just turn up, train, and get on with it. And I think, this is a real test of Russell Martin's managerial abilities. And I think, in the interest of the club, in the interest of Rangers going forward, getting Raskin back in the squad has got to be what we do. And Raskin's right. He's obviously very concerned that he wants to be part of this Belgium squad that qualifies for the World Cup, and he wants to go to the World Cup as well. Obviously, I think we all know that if Raskin has a decent season with Rangers and then goes off with Belgium to the World Cup and impresses, then we could actually get, if Russell Martin doesn't want him anymore, we could get a pretty penny for him in the summer next year if he really impresses at the World Cup, even with only 12 months left on his deal. That's football. There are ups and downs, Raskin continued. He said, the truth is, I love this club so much, and I've had some wonderful times here, and I have a great relationship with the fans. So it's clear that he still has a passion for the club. He hasn't downed tools. It's kind of, to me, a bit Hadji-esque in the way that this is going, that it's very much that, Raskin hasn't got a problem with the fans, he hasn't got a problem with Rangers, his problem is with the manager, the same way that it seemed to be there was an issue between Clement and Hadji last year, and we hopefully, we can overcome it in the way that Hadji overcome his difficulties with Clement last year. I try to give them back as much as I can. I still hope we can find a solution. A transfer? No, that's out of the question. I want to continue to resolve this at the club. So, it's clear that he wants to stay. He wants to play for Rangers. And I don't know about you guys out there, but if you've got a player that actually wants to gives the monkeys about your club, then surely you should be doing everything you can to get this player on side and back into the team, because he's a top player. He's a very good footballer, as we've seen, for Belgium, as we've seen last season. Raskin, when he's used correctly, and I think that's probably the problem with Russell Martin, has been that he hasn't used Raskin in the right way. I think, Russell Martin could learn a lot from looking at the way that Barry Ferguson dealt with Russell Martin, both in terms of his handling of him on the training field, but not only that, but the way he used him on a match day to really get the best out of him and really see that this is a player who can be a major influence over Rangers this year. And as I spoke about on the video the other day and on the podcast the other day, Celtic are looking like they're on the verge of imploding and falling apart to some degree. And, we need the best possible players out there and our strongest possible team out there. And I think, it's fair to say that Rangers' strongest possible team includes Nicolas Raskin. It doesn't include Joe Rothwell, for example. Raskin in the six, he's twice the player, as we've seen internationally, that Joe Rothwell is. And hopefully that's something that Russell Martin can sort of begin to see and kind of realise and take his blinkers off a little bit and kind of try and get his head round it. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts. Please drop me a comment and let me know about what you think about what Raskin has had to say and the situation going forward. Obviously, just a reminder, guys, if you like the content, it is free here. We don't charge you, so please like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel. You can also become a member for as little as 99p to support the channel. We don't charge you for any content, unlike some channels. Well, there's a bit of a rumour going around, and I don't know how much truth is in this rumour. I think it's just a bit, it could be just media, it could be just, the classic, it's international break, it's quiet apart from the odd international game, and the media look for a story. Now, Alex Oxlade Chamberlain, the former Arsenal, Liverpool, Southampton, Fulham player, obviously son of Mark Chamberlain, is currently out of contract. He hasn't got a club. He's a free agent. And he's a very good footballer, a very, very good footballer. And the stories obviously down here in England that are coming out of a number of sources here in England, that is he linked with a number of clubs who are showing an interest in Alex Oxlade Chamberlain. Apparently Leeds United have shown an interest in him, which could be an interesting clash if it comes down to Leeds sign him or Rangers sign him. Which way does Parag Marathe go on trying to persuade him to join one of the two clubs that he's involved with? Everton reportedly also interested in him. They've been a bit very much resurgent this season as well at their new stadium. Also rumoured as well well to be interested in him is Birmingham City. Very ambitious, obviously, to get out of the Championship first time. Wrexham also interested. No surprise there. But, this would be a free transfer. This would be the case of getting hold of someone who's out of contract. At the moment, the salary probably wouldn't be that high, given the fact that he's still out of contract. He's still looking for a club. This would be a fantastic move if it came off. He's just left Besiktas, in Turkey, and he's looking for his next challenge. He's looking for somewhere to play. He's looking for, a chance to really impress. And I think, this would be a player that would be a massive difference maker. Talking about him on media the other day, I think it's Charlie Mulgrew, the former Celtic player, spoke about him and said that would be a massive signing. He's a proved attacking threat for Arsenal and for Liverpool for years. And he's had that knee injury before in his career, which doesn't help, but he's still got a lot to offer. McGinn added as well. Ted McGinn added as well. He's huge name. He'll cost a few quid at Rangers. He also obviously generate a lot of money as well with the name on the jersey. I think that's just a joke at the Oxlade Chamberlain rather than anything else. Just one of those. I mean, he's still got the hunger. If he's still desperate to kind of enjoy his football and he's bang on it, for them, that would be a marquee signing. In terms of Alex Oxlade Chamberlain, this is his career to date. Obviously, the majority of his appearances coming for Liverpool and for Arsenal. He made 198 appearances in his career with the Gunners, scoring 20 goals with 28 assists, obviously 48 goal contributions in 198. For Liverpool, he played 146 times for Liverpool in a number of positions, scoring 18 goals and getting 14 assists. He's also made 50 appearances in the Turkish Super League as well for Besiktas, where he scored 5 goals and a single assist. Also had time where he began his career, which was at Southampton. Obviously progressing through the youth system there with the likes of Theo Walcott. Again, 43 appearances, 10 goals, 9 assists. He also has 35 England caps and 7 England goals to his name as well. This is a former England international. This is a guy who has, won 3 FA Cups with Arsenal. He's won the Premier League with Liverpool. He won the EFL Cup with Liverpool. He won the Champions League with Liverpool. He won the UEFA Super Cup and the FIFA World Club Cup with Liverpool. He won the Turkish Cup as well. His ties Besiktas. This is a guy who knows how to win trophies. He knows how to get clubs across the line in terms of, the way that he plays. Number of roles. Yes, he's predominantly a central midfield player, which would be interesting, obviously fitting into our midfield, but he can also play right midfield, he can play right wing, left midfield, left wing, attacking midfield, defensive midfield. He's played right back in his career. He's been a centre forward once, he's been a second striker once. Again, like I said, he's a guy who fills a number of roles and a number of different positions. Certainly something that makes him attractive to any manager. Especially a manager obviously who likes to change shapes and formations and maybe looking for different solutions to different problems. He's strong, he's aggressive, he's got a decent shot on him. He's a very good footballer. Now, obviously, it would be, I think it's going to be a big push to try and obviously get this one across the line, especially if English Premier League clubs are interested, because look, we know, as much as we've got our blue goggles on, when the English Premier League come calling with the money they've got, they can obviously offer substantially larger wages and substantially more money than obviously to sign on as well than we can. But it's about selling a project, isn't it? It's about selling a team, and obviously the chance to play Europa League football. Certainly something, he's not going to get a chance to play in Europe for Leeds or for Everton or for Birmingham or Wrexham. He's obviously got a chance, possibly winning trophies. Hopefully, if things can be turned round at the club as well, and playing at Ibrox is a big pull as well. So look, it's still not, I don't think, if you ask me now what my confidence would be of him arriving, I'd say it was 50-50, or even 40-60 against him coming, but I still think it's a very interesting name to be linked with. And it's clear that, the 49ers and obviously Kevin Thelwell and others are still looking beyond this core squad and looking for additions to it, to improve it, to make it better and to develop it. So, hey, I don't know. I don't know, it would be an exciting one, certainly if Rangers pulled it off, a very exciting one. And yes, he's had his injury issues in the past, but he seems to be over those now, which I know is a concern for a lot of Rangers fans, are signing players who are injured, obviously like the whole Aaron Ramsey thing when he came to the club. But I don't think Oxlade Chamberlain is anywhere near in the same sick note category as him. But that will be a very exciting move for me. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on the Ox possibly coming to Ibrox. Let me know what you think about an Ox at Ibrox. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.